This is an aerial view of Pelican Bay State Prison. The upper left would be B yard, home of Pelican Bay's worst riot. Upper right, A yard. This white X structure, that's Pelican Bay SHU. This is an aerial view of Corcoran State Prison. The lower 2 yards are regular housing units. The 2 upper yards, that's Corcoran SHU, 4A and 4B. And this is what it looks like inside a housing unit in Corcoran SHU. This being 4A, one right. This is a 180 design type housing, for those of you that have been asking for a long time. There's the shower. Lovely spot, right? And there's an inmate waiting for a shower or wondering what the hell we're doing looking at him. This would be a lower tier cell. We refer to them as bedrock. Gets hot as hell in the summertime when the concrete absorbs all the heat. This would be an upper tier cell in Corcoran SHU. Not as hot, but still hot as hell. This is another glimpse at what it would look like. This is 4A, 4 right. You see in the middle of both tiers, there's the shower. Housing units right there, all the cells. And that's what it looks like. This is what the yard looks like now in Corcoran SHU. Dog runs, like most SHUs. This is what it looks like in the pods in Pelican Bay SHU. 4 cells on the top, 4 cells on the bottom. There's your yard door at the back. Another look at it. And there's the entrance into the pod. There's a control booth gunner. This is what it looks like to be in the cell. Lovely place, right? And there we go with the yard. Gorgeous spot, right? The top is covered in plexiglass, mesh, and you're on camera all the time. You see that window? No sunlight. You'd be lucky every now and then. You might get a foot of sun. And that's Pelican Bay. What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video.
I rep the West to the death, but my life is better. I've shed blood, shed tears, man, I stormed bad weather. I caught an L at 19, that's a cold-ass letter. But now I'm back in the world and trying to make it better forever. They counted me out at a young age, but now I'm living proof. I'm in this booth, I'm spitting truth, you see me on the tube. The Dub Show, homies bounce and roll. The Dub Show.
Now that you have an idea, now that you know what Corcoran SHU and Pelican Bay look like, now that you know what their yards, so-called yards, look like, let's talk about what it feels like. I want to give a contrast, right, to both SHUs. I've been to both, unfortunately. I did way more time in Pelican Bay SHU. I was only in Corcoran SHU for, I believe, 4 months. On my way back to Pelican Bay, they left me there on a layover for, it was about 4 months. And I want to start with that prison because I did less time there, and I'm glad. Going to Corcoran SHU, the feeling of the place, it was just like going to AdSeg, going to the hole, AdSeg, right? The housing is the exact same as any other level 4 180. When I went, it was in 1998 on my way back to Pelican Bay. And we were having group yards still, but we weren't having gladiator days anymore. Those had already stopped by, I believe it was 1996. So when we went out to the yard, it was Southerners, whites, and Bulldogs went out to yard together. And then the blacks, the northerners, and the others had their yard groups. Corcoran SHU, I went to 4A 2 right. And in 4A 2 right, all southerners and whites were housed in the bottom tier, bedrock. And the upper tier was also the bulldogs were on the bottom tier. Everybody who went on our yard groups was on the lower tier. The northerners, blacks, and others, they were all on the upper tier. As I said in the intro, Corcoran, and I happened to lay over to catch the damn summer. That was some of the most miserable time I did as far as heat in the cell. It felt like the sun went up and set outside of your cell. The sun would just beat on the concrete walls. The walls would absorb it. We're in bedrock, and the bunks would, it was ridiculously hot. You'd be laying, we would have our mattresses rolled up and just be in boxers, socks, and you're just pouring sweat. You got to get up and bird bath, and you're dripping sweat, picking the water up off the floor. But the worst thing about Corcoran SHU for me was the pettiness. It was, you would think, oh, it's the SHU, they're not tripping on a lot of the petty stuff. No. Maybe it was because the feds were probably still investigating them because of the gladiator fights. But if I think it was more than 2 people worked out together on the yard, that was a write-up. I remember one day there was a rutina. They were doing the rutina inside, right? And it was the whole bottom tier. Everybody was busting down, and that's what they call working out, busting down. Everybody was busting down. They were doing the count. And as everybody was busting down, I look up and I noticed the tower cop. He sets up a camera, right? And he's panning it across the whole bottom tier, back and forth, right? And I'm thinking, hell, this is going to be in some kind of damn prison documentary or some kind of commercial. No, it was actually to issue a write-up to everyone in the cell for calling cadence, which they're going to try to use as a point of validation later, saying it's gang activity, right? And if you try to contest the 115, they'll pull you out and they'll play you the videotape of yourself working out. That was by far the most ridiculous prison I had ever been in. The food tasted good compared to other prisons. The food tasted good. I remember we used to get fudge stripe cookies in our lunches all the time. We also used to get those home run pies. You guys remember those? They're kind of like the Hostess pies, the ones that are folded over and they have like apple in them. I remember getting that, but the portions were tiny. And being the SHU, you only get a package once a year, and we were only getting canteen draw once a month. So Corcoran SHU was a place where you were able to mingle with people. You go to yard and you have the group yard and you could play handball. There's a shower on the yard. You could shower to cool off. It wasn't mentally taxing because you had group yard. And whenever there was group yard, people knew how to act. You got to go out to that group yard. You want to stick your nose in something? There's going to be group yard. You can get touched, right? Now, since the Ad Sags and Corcoran SHU have the dog runs, the cages, you're only going to be on the yard with your cellie. It made people want to talk more. But I dealt with that in Ad Sag, right? People who would have never said anything, they got a whole lot to say once they don't have to go to group yard. That was a terrible thing. But anyways, now let's get to Pelican Bay. Pelican Bay, as you saw from the pictures, you see that white X? You notice there was no windows on that building? That's C&D facility. You go inside that place. Matter of fact, let's just start from the beginning. When you pull up, just like Corcoran, you pull up, boom, and there's just a row of cops waiting to escort you, right? I remember when I got to Corcoran, it just so happened that the cop that was escorting me was actually from the 805. He was from Santa Maria. Knew my cousins. So he was very cordial. You go to Pelican Bay, and the feeling's different. I don't know how to describe the feeling, but when you step into the hallway, the corridor, the first thing you notice is the cage above you and that there's no windows. As you get escorted through, it's quiet as hell. Pelican Bay SHU was the headquarters for every criminal faction in California. Every prison faction in California, Pelican Bay was the headquarters. Corcoran SHU had those same people, but not in as much, not in abundance like you did in Pelican Bay. Where in Corcoran SHU, you could, when they had group yard, get into some physical altercations. Pelican Bay, it was possible. Somebody could get moved into your cell before they started single selling all the validated people. But Pelican Bay, from the moment you step foot in there, it was a mind fuck. Everything was psychological there. The place was built to break men. And you would see men break mentally. Dudes that will be your neighbors, dudes that you knew for years, you start noticing things about them. You'd start noticing maybe a piece of trash on the tier, and it would drive them crazy. They'd have to fish to try to get that back in. And you knew, in the back of your mind, he can't come back from this. Then they get that weird look in their eyes that only crazy people can have. And then now you know he's become a target. He's a threat. This is a bad dude. He's here for doing some crazy shit. Maybe he's involved in some stuff. But he lost his damn mind. Some of them, after a while, they start smearing shit all over their body. Some of them try to start gassing people. Gassing is when they piss and they shit in a milk carton. And when people are going by, they try to throw it at them. In Pelican Bay, if you open your mouth, everybody can hear you. And so you had to be careful what you talked about. You had to be careful, too, who you clowned around with. Someone could play around with you, and you're a little bit better at clowning than them. Then you're done with your SHU term. You hit A or B facility waiting on your transfer to another spot, or you're just stuck in Pelican Bay, either A or B facility. The next thing you know, there's 2 shooters on you, stabbing the dog shit out of you. You're fighting for your life. And you know what it was over? A joke you made 2 years ago. Because you joked with the wrong person, and he didn't like that other people laughed. I've seen it happen. Pelican Bay was a place where, for the criminals in California, within the Department of Corrections, Pelican Bay was a place, that was Oxford. That was MIT. That was where you were going to get the best criminal education as long as you were trusted. But no matter who you were, no matter how much you were trusted, no matter what you've done, that place was going to eat at your mind all day, all night. Every conversation, you should be guarded. Not out of fear, but out of necessity. Imagine being in a spot the size of your garage, maybe, with at least 7 other men, killers. And you hear the same voices every day for years. You hear the same stories. After a while, they recycle. You hear the same laugh. Imagine one of them gets on your nerves. You can't go anywhere. He can't go anywhere. And his fucking voice is like nails on a chalkboard to you every day. Can't go nowhere. Then you're in there. You're stuck. You can't make no money. And so when people come and you know they're going to be leaving again, you befriend them. You lace them up on stuff. And then hopefully the seeds you plant in that mind will become fruitful. And he'll remember you when he hits the yard again. And he's making money and he's doing his thing. And maybe if you're lucky, he'll meet other individuals and he'll plant the seed of who you are, how cool you were in their minds. And they decide, hey, Holmes, I'm going to send some stuff to the homie. But it's always a favor for a favor. There's going to be people that see this and they're going to be like, these guys think Pelican Bay this, Pelican Bay that. And to me, that's the guys that just, they were never there. I'm glad Pelican Bay is shut down. I'm glad Corcoran and Tehachapi and all the SHUs are shut down. But especially Pelican Bay. The place was built to break men's minds. So many horrors were plotted from Pelican Bay. So many deaths occurred with the origin starting in Pelican Bay. It was a place of misery, despair, and insanity. That's my video for today, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.